day of Super District, and the conversation is all about graphic design. Before we had Burro Studio from Milan. So to the people that are here for the first time, welcome to Super District. Super District is a series of online meetups that we started during the lockdown to see new faces, getting to know each other during the phase where we couldn't go out. We were in good company of some of the best Italian creative studios, and for the design week we wanted to open up to international studios as well. So who we are? We are District, a creative platform that gives opportunities, events, open calls, jobs, workshops to designers and companies. We are based in Italy. I'm Hassan, nice to meet you, and there's Maria Francesca. For the new participants, it's a time for exchange, so don't be shy and let's enjoy. Ask questions if you have one. So we have a few rules. If you have a questions, book it through the chat so we can give you the microphone. So you can ask directly, and before the question, of course, introduce yourself so we know what's your background. So here we go. So today we have with us Jonas from Spin. And also who's Tony. Tony, yeah. Right? And which is a graphic design studio based in London. Guys, thank you very much for being with us. I leave the microphone to you and I leave the stage. So,
brilliant.
Cheers.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the invite. So let's actually jump right into our presentation. Can you actually hear it?
Yeah.
Everybody give us a
Our video is a little bit delayed, but we can hear you, no problem.
Okay, let's see how it works with sharing the screen. So we have prepared a little presentation that gives an introduction to the studio, and we're also sharing a project with you, a very special project. Let's see if that works. So can you all see that all right?
Yes, we can see it. Yeah.
So we're a design studio based in London. We're called Spin. And this is the space we're actually in right now. It's a purpose-built studio space in a lovely garden. It's actually even nicer right now because all the flowers, all the plants are blooming. It's beautiful, actually. And this is basically a breakfast, and we're doing that kind of thing every Thursday. So we get together with the entire team and share a lovely Friday on a Thursday, because it's a big fry up, like a proper English breakfast.
Jonas, there's the video is not.
We
like
see only Spin.
Oh, that's not good. How can we?
So let's try to go out from the share screen and try to re-put it again.
Okay.
Okay, now we see it. Okay.
So that means we probably can't go full screen. Is that right?
Let's try again.
Yeah. Okay. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Now
Yes.
we can see it. Yes, the breakfast.
That's the breakfast. Here we go.
Great.
Let's go. Let's move on. So that's the team of directors. We have Tony, who's with me, founder of Spin. We've got Claudia, who's the design director. We've got Trish, founder as well, and myself. And we are accompanied by a lovely team of designers that goes like up and down between like 3 to 4 people, more or less.
Okay, it's not working again. Just don't put the presentation. We see the keynote as you have it. Yeah, like this is fine.
Okay, so let's just not go full.
Yeah. Thank you. So.
That's the 4 people, the team of directors, and we're accompanied by a lovely team of designers as well. And I'm just going to read out that quote. So over the last 20 years, Spin have firmly established themselves as one of London's best design studios, delivering consistently high quality work across a huge range of clients that span the arts, communication, broadcast, design, electronics and entertainment sectors, as well as application. Their portfolio includes identities, books, marketing, campaigns, motion graphics, packaging and websites. And I think that pretty much sums it up. Yeah, I think we can agree with that. I mean, that's pretty much the same thing. So we're really a full range design studio. I think there's pretty much nothing that we wouldn't tackle.
Yeah. We're a Renaissance design studio.
And we have prepared a show reel that I hope works well through Zoom. Let's give it a try. If it doesn't work, please let me know.
Sure.
Let's see if that works. It has sound, so I hope you can hear it.
Okay.
Oop.
No.
Good. Why's that? Okay.
Try with the play, put the presentation play and then, okay. No, that's
Okay.
strange. We also did a technical check.
It'll work perfectly, but. One more try.
Why wouldn't it work? It's so strange.
Do you have it like on the website or some?
We do.
Okay.
Okay, let's go to the website.
Yes.
If you want to share it.
Let's do a. Actually, let me just.
It's actually very cool because we see everything, you know, from behind the scenes. So.
Exactly.
Can you see that? No. Well,
No, but maybe you don't you have the file, the normal file, the video file?
yeah. Oh, sorry.
Interesting to see how this works.
Here we go.
Okay.
Does that work? So hopefully that gives a good overview about a few of the things that we do. Can you see the keynote again?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, brilliant. So the project we actually wanted to talk about is called Spin Projects, just to make it a bit more confusing. And it's quite a special project for us, because it's a new venture. It's something that I think has been in Tony's mind for quite a long time. Yeah. Maybe do you want to explain about the idea of it? Yeah.
It's basically, we've always made self-initiated projects. They've always been really important to us. And initially, when we first did them, they allowed us to explore new subjects that we weren't necessarily being commissioned to do. So, say the first one we did was on this new technology that had just come out, which was basically interactivity, CD-ROMs. I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember those, but they were. So we set ourselves a project of doing a CD-ROM, and that was the first time we did a self-initiated project. And that we ended up, Diesel ended up seeing us, Diesel Jeans ended up seeing this CD-ROM and commissioned us to do a CD-ROM. And as part of that CD-ROM, we started making motion graphics. And then television channels commissioned us to do motion graphics. And so they've always, and with the publishing, we self-published some papers, and we ended up forming a publishing company. So they've always been very important in pushing the studio forward and giving us opportunities that we might not get otherwise. But I'd always wanted to try and make a special space that allowed these projects to live and breathe without any commercial requirement, really. So that's what this is. This is really an opportunity for us all to stretch ourselves creatively.
Exactly. And for this special project, we've put in quite a lot of thought into how we present this, and we've come up with a website and almost like a little identity for the whole project. And as you can see here, so that's the logo, and it's our thoughts on the endless conversation, discussion about more or less. You know, there was like less is more. There was more is less at some point.
There's definitely more is more. And less is a bore was one.
And less is a bore. And I think our conclusion in a way is that that's something that has to be negotiated again and again. Like all the time, with everything that you look at, you have to look at it and decide, is it more or is it less? And we've translated that into a website that looks like this.
What I like about the homepage is that you as a viewer can decide when there's enough there or when there's too much, and you kind of engage with the notion of how much is too much and how much is not enough, you know. In on the homepage.
And of course, it also lives on phones. So you can go from quite minimal to like super crazy, just depending on, you know, what your preference is.
I mean, for me, it depends on what mood I'm in, really. I like more and I like less.
And within that website, we have worked on a range of projects, and we have to say this is an ongoing process. So this is not something that's ever going to stop. So we're continuing to work on this, and right now we've got 4 projects on the website, but there are plenty more that are in our minds and that are going to like be on the website in a bit.
So it's like your own research, internal research.
Yeah, you could say that. It's in a way you could say that's our like research and development department.
Yeah.
You could look at it in that way. And as we progress through the project, I think you're going to understand even better what it is. so the first project is it's called Wire. So it's about a very it's a very peculiar, it's a very basic kind of material, and we all work with it probably every day. And we just looked at it, and we started with like a very simple kind of item, like clothes hangers. And if you start to bend them around, it's quite a unique way of working with it. We really like that. I think that was basically the starting point for the whole project. Something super simple, super, like out of daily life, really. And so we looked at it creatively and kind of transformed it and worked with it and moved it into different spaces. So one was, 3D typography. And we went quite far with this, I would say, actually. So we took it to an entire typeface. And one thing that was very interesting for us was the way it rotates, because once you have those little sculptures and you rotate them and look at them from different angles, they change so much. And we thought it's just such a satisfying thing to look at.
Was it like casually, or it was like you meant to design all the letters in this way? I mean, I'm talking about it because I'm an architect and I draw with rhinoceros. I don't know if you know the
yeah, it was
and
quite...
and sometimes like the lines are going anywhere, and then you see the flattened image. It actually is another thing. So the question is
fascination, and like we work like super intuitively with it.
Exactly.
It's not like forcing it. It's almost like scribbling.
Exactly. Okay.
And we actually took that notion of like rotating it and made it into different cuts of the typeface. So it's actually a usable typeface. I mean, it's like on the edge of legibility, really, but it is usable. And instead of going from like a light to a bold, with this typeface, you can go from 0 degree to 315 degrees in like several steps. And we thought that's just a super interesting thing. Yeah. And another thing about Spin Projects is that we try to look at things with our eyes as graphic designers and with our perspective. And one thing we did was, with all the projects, how can we transform it into, the three-dimensional space? What could we make out of it? What kind of product could that become? So in that case, we ended up with neon lights. Like almost with like a sculptural kind of quality, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, we can be completely irresponsible, and but they're not made, so they're not. There's no limitation to what we can imagine that we might make.
Exactly.
Although these are very tempting to try and make them.
Absolutely. And I mean, yeah, that's another point. So all those projects, they are meant to be, in a way, conversation starters. So if there's someone out there and he's like, oh my God, that's amazing. I've always thought about this and I want to make a product out of it. That's
right.
We're very happy to do that. It's like we want to put the things out there in the world and we just want to share. It's these are not kind of client projects. There's no one telling us how to do it. So it's really like a loose end that we put out in the world and someone can grab it up and make something out of it.
Yeah, it's very nice.
And so with this project, we went even further and we started to look at augmented reality, because that's just something that was in our head. So we thought, like, how can we make it even more like an experience? How can you, because you're not going to have those wire thingies, but how can we look at them in a nice way? And so we started creating an app where you can just place them in space, walk around them, see them from all different angles. And that's in development, but we're quite close to releasing that on the App Store. So watch out for it. It's going to be free. It's you know, it's an experimental project, and we're hoping for people to really pick up on it and just create nice things with it, really.
We'll do it for sure.
Cool.
I wanted to ask you something like regarding this experimentation. What is the value that you put on this on this experimentation? Is it in a certain way like commercial, or is like, you know, just go with ideas and let's see what happens?
Yeah, go with ideas. Let's see what happens. There's no commercial imperative, but quite often things end up feeding into our work, but not in a way that we'd imagined, or, you know, that quite often happens, that an idea can find a place in a commercial project, but they're never made for that.
Okay.
Yeah, but then on the other hand, it is important to treat those projects within like the daily life of the studio. You have to take them seriously, otherwise they're not going to happen.
Of course.
That's something very important, I think.
Yeah, we plan them in. We allocate time to them. We plan them in. Otherwise, they just wouldn't happen.
Like, do you make like, do you do like Google, like the 80-20 rules about like 80 and 20% like personal project, or how do you, how much do you invest in these projects, or it's like something that is
yeah,
as much as we can. I mean, sometimes like at the moment we're quite busy, but there's always downtime in any graphic design studio. And except there isn't any downtime now, because we're you know, and it's been like this for a while. I mean, that's in a way why I started. Do you know Unit Editions, the book publishing? We have a publishing company called Unit Editions, and that started out of a self-initiated project. And I mean, it still is a self-initiated project, but one of the motivations for starting that was that I'm a collector, and I thought it'd be nice to share some of the things I was collecting in books. I've always loved books, and that then became a business. But it wasn't at the start. It wasn't
meant to be
supposed to be a business. It just evolved into a business, and that business was started essentially to say, I get bored very easily. I think we all do, as designers do get bored very easily, and so this was a way of keeping us entertained and interested and moving forward. And so this has taken on. You can find time. You can make time. You can find time. I mean, that's what we do essentially, isn't it? You know.
We totally agree with you.
So let's go into the next project, maybe.
Yes.
So it's called Moon, and it's really about the fascination of the moon. It's always been such an interesting thing, and I think a lot of people were attracted to it. And yeah, we were looking at different graphic interpretations of it, including animation and a few other things. And we've also, again, of course, because we're graphic designers, we've looked into type. And actually, the outcome in that project are 3 different typefaces. So they're called Moon, Beam, and Meteor. They're all quite graphic. And again, because this is not a client project, we don't have to be like, they don't have to be super legible, but they can rather be, you know, experimental and like just a bit crazy. Mm-hmm. But still, they're actually legible. I would say it's a bit hard, but you know. Can you read that, Tony?
Yeah. Well, I say, can they all sing along with it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen types that are way more illegible. So
yeah,
really.
it's kind of surprisingly weirdly legible. It doesn't make sense that it is, but you can definitely read it.
Yeah.
I remember there's a lovely quote from Herb Lubalin that says legibility is overrated.
And yeah, we've looked at things like how would that look on. We were very inspired by NASA, you know, like the gear and everything they wear and all the items that they produced. So we produced a range of things. I'm just showing a small selection. So by the way, there's plenty more for all those projects on the website, and it's spin-projects.co.uk.
No, .co.
Can you write it down on the chat?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
spin-projects.co.
So we can buy this stuff, actually?
Oh, no, not yet.
Good that you're asking.
Yeah, nice, good question. Bye-bye.
Okay. We will wait for the announcement.
All right.
Very
Okay.
good. There are things on the way.
But they're very cool. I mean, I would buy it. So.
Good to hear.
That's good to hear. That's brilliant.
That's a good validation.
Exactly.
And then we've got another project that is called Symmetrica. And we started with just shapes, really. So quite rigid, quite blocky, bold shapes. And we were fascinated by them. I mean, there's been a huge history in graphic design.
Yeah.
And people have worked with similar things. And we kind of wanted to give, like, you know, our take on it, I'd say.
Yeah.
One thing we did is, again, we started to move them. And we created those animations.
It's lovely how they just drift in and out of legibility.
And how they go from, you know, letters into just something, into space, really.
Yes.
And with that as a starting point, we again developed a typeface, and then we were like, well, that's a lovely typeface, but what if that typeface would move? And we thought it's just so nice to see how it goes from like legible into complete abstraction and like just a crazy pattern. And then we've been looking at material. And yeah, I mean, the typeface is also, you know, just a proper typeface, so you can work with it. And as with the other projects, we've also been looking into products. So how could that come to life? And we came up with this idea of a speaker. Sorry?
No, don't worry. I'm looking for someone. I don't know.
So if you have the microphone.
Abbastanza.
Okay, go. Sorry.
Okay. So so this is, again, you know, that's prototype stage. It's just we as graphic designers looking at shapes and thinking that could totally be a speaker. And to give it a bit more, you know, just to test it, to see how it would work, we use AR to see how it looks in space, how big could it be, that kind of thing.
I want that so badly.
Yes, please produce it.
Yes.
Come on.
The fourth project is called Metamorphosis, and I think Tony has to give an introduction.
Okay. Well, when we moved to the studio that we're in now, we were in quite a conventional space before. When we moved to this studio with a garden and everything, it really almost begged us to use it as a starting point. And it was really, I was reading Metamorphosis by Ovid, and there's a wonderful translation of Metamorphosis by Ted Hughes, who's a poet from Yorkshire, where I'm from. And so I was also reading that, and it just kept coming up this idea of transformation. And one of the biggest reasons for moving here was transformation, so that we could give ourselves more creative opportunities and, you know, to push, to see what was possible, really. So this project comes from, it was inspired by the move and by the things I was reading at the time. And they just actually do this with a lot of projects, but they push digital and analog together to make it, to see what happens when you start really, you know, sort of like colliding those two worlds. So you get a mixture of typewriter, letraset. The typewriters are passages and riffs on metamorphosis, on passages from Metamorphosis.
Actually kind of interesting going through them like that slow. Usually that's all moving at the same time.
Yeah.
When did you move?
Oh, it was about 2 years ago.
Okay.
We had a very nice studio. There was no good reason to move. It just really felt, you know, but it was conventional, and this did feel like it was just a very different sort of space, and might make us think differently. I was kind of worried that we might think we were on holiday, but it really hasn't happened. We've been, you know, the intensity has been there, and the work's been there. It's really worked well.
Okay.
I mean, the COVID situation really hasn't affected us that much, because of, I think we know Jonas has had it, and pretty sure I've had it as well. Luckily, it didn't kill us, but but actually being in isolation, it hasn't. I mean, it's not been great. I can't say it's been great, but we've been very lucky, I think, in a sense that it didn't really stop us from working and producing, which has made it a lot easier to cope with.
Absolutely. So these are prints that are based on some of the graphics, and then they're added. There's typography, typewriter, paint, and they do have. I mean, we can't show it, or can we maybe show one of them physically? Yeah, we probably could. So they have like quite a nice quality to them as objects, really, because they're handmade, and they're very, I'd say, intimate and like very personal, actually, in a sense. And if you look closely, you could actually read METAMORP, so Metamorphosis. There's a whole range of different versions of this. Can you actually see that on our camera?
Yes, we do. We do. How many people work on this?
On what? On this project?
Yes.
Synopsis? Well, we all kind of have, really.
Okay.
I did a lot of the painting and the typewriting. I bought a typewriter especially. It's great fun. I can really recommend it. Buy a typewriter.
Great thing to do.
We have one.
Yeah, great. Really bash away at them. It's very physical.
Because there is also like a question from Eric asking if you do workshops, internal workshops, like, I don't know if you, some days you focus on this, like, project.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it would be a great subject for a workshop. We just don't have the room to do it here.
Okay.
But yeah, it would be a really fun workshop to do. Be noisy.
Yeah.
But do you mean like internally or with?
Yeah, you meant internally, like if you when you develop this kind of
you could actually say it's pretty much a workshop kind of setup.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's, of course, we're not doing that all the time and at all, like on all days, but yeah, we do. You know, we do have paint, we do have you know, material, we do have like our little setup, and we can do plenty of things like that.
It is very much like a workshop. Yeah, the wall behind us is where, I mean, we just show a little bit of it.
Yeah.
We've, oh no, you can't see it. Can you?
Okay.
Usually it's covered in, like we're working on some stuff at the moment that we're not allowed to share.
Okay, no problem.
Oh no, you see that over there. That's no problem.
Not forget what you've seen.
But it's really important. The wall and the materials are really important for our process, and I recommend that to anybody, to print things out and put them on the wall, and they stop for a moment, even if they're not finished. It's much easier to get a little bit of distance from something and to be critical of it and feel if it's right or if it's wrong or whatever. If you print it out on a computer, if you're looking at a screen, it can always be moved. It can always be a bit bigger, a bit smaller, a bit bolder, a bit thinner, or whatever it might be. But if you print it out, it's much easier to make bigger steps forward, I think.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you.
Super important process.
Mm-mm.
So maybe just one word on this
Yes.
word. So that's kimonos, and they just have this absolutely gorgeous shape. And we just thought they match so well with the graphics of Metamorphosis. So we've done a range of options for kimonos. So you can see all of them again on the website. And then as we're coming towards the end of this is a teaser of what's going to happen next with Spin Projects.
It's a world exclusive.
World exclusive. We're about to produce lovely little boxes. Yeah, we got one. Yeah, we can probably pick one up. And they are actually, so on the left you can see that's the studio's monograph, and on the right you can see the boxes, and they just fit so satisfyingly well. They just same size. That's the box. Lovely embossing here.
Wow.
Super sharp edges. Like, they've done an amazing job of producing it. And actually, maybe we just don't say what's in them, because to keep a bit of mystery around it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they're all, the idea is that every edition has, every edition would contain a different thing, but they would all look like the same box. So you're surprised when you open, like, you'll never know quite which box you bought and what's in it.
Okay. But the monography, we can buy it, right?
Sorry?
The monography, we can buy it. It's a book.
Oh yeah, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Maria Francesca loves to buy things.
No, I love to sell books.
There's a woman after my own.
I mean,
heart.
there are actually not that many left, I think.
No,
So,
there's about 50 left, I think.
yeah,
Okay.
gotta be quick.
But I have to like write to you, or there is like bookshop when online books.
Yeah, uniteditions.com.
Okay.
It looks like you're typing in United, but it's uniteditions.com.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Okay, so it'd be great.
That's it so far.
Okay. Absolutely on time.
Whoa.
But it would be lovely if we could answer like a few more questions, maybe. I think that would be a nice thing to do, if there are any, if we can, in terms of time.
Yeah.
I don't know if people want to ask something, guys.
Okay,
Okay, Kim, you can go.
Hello, I'm gonna also, okay. Hi, thank you very much for the talk, it was super interesting. I wanted to ask you how, because I think Spin exists since 20 years or something like that.
Yeah, 30 years, yeah. Almost.
30 years, yeah.
How do you manage for such a long time to keep this great consistency in a way of graphic outcome that you have? Like, I mean, of course you have different clients from different fields and different industries, but of course your signature is very strong. How do you, and also I guess people, designers in Spin change a lot, I guess. So how do you keep consistency?
Well,
what you do?
You work, like, I must say that we weren't always that way. We were terrible when we started, and we got better. You know, I think that after, if I try to do this really quickly, when we started, I read a little thing from the bank, a little booklet from the bank, and that said that most companies go out of business after 1 year and then 2 years. So all I wanted to do was to survive for those years. I didn't want to be a statistic and go out of business in the first year or the second year. So that was it. And I pretty much worked every single weekend for 2 years. I think I had 1 weekend off. I just worked really, really hard. Then we got to the end of that, and I thought, this cannot be it. This cannot be why I've set up business, just to survive. And so then that's when the self-initiated project started, really. And then you start to ask yourself, what do I want to do? What would I like to do? What does it look like? You know, what's my opinion look like? And then that's where the consistency starts to come in, because you realize that you have an opinion and you start to understand what it looks like. So say, for instance, there are a lot of trends that happen in graphic design, and one of them at the time was looking like Tomato. Do you remember Tomato? Do you know Tomato's design group? They did very touchy-feely things, and all the students copied them.
They're from London, right?
Sorry?
They're from London as well?
Yeah. Now, I thought they were fantastic, but I knew that I didn't want to copy them. I didn't want to be like that, you know? And so, but there were a few designers that I was working with that did want to be like that. And so it was almost a reaction against this kind of confusing language that I started to develop my personal opinion. And then what I've found is that it's broadened over time, and I'm more confident about working with people like Jonas, and Jonas brings so much to the studio, and Claudia brings so much to the studio, and living with them and us all sharing that together. And I think that kind of sort of respect and sharing is what brings the consistency. You know, you've got to really like the people that you work with, and you've got to let them bring what they can bring too. I think it makes a big difference. And especially when I have this mental picture of Spin being this fuzzy ball, this kind of floating thing that we all have to keep up there. And so it isn't my thing. You know, I've talked about a little bit about me with the question, but it isn't really about me. It's about all of us keeping this thing floating in the air somehow by belief and by hard work and, you know, by talent, really. So, but like I think finding out that we aren't, say, we're not modernists per se. We have a broad and eclectic range of influences. And if you look at your record collection, you'll find out whether you've got a broad range of interest or a narrow range of interest. And if you look at the books that you like, you'll find out about yourself. And that's essentially what, you know, I like all kinds of music. We play all kinds of music here, you know, but it's all good music. That's
for sure.
That's the key, I think.
Thank you.
That's a very obscure answer. I'm really sorry, but it's difficult to.
Oh, no, actually, it was very clear, and thank you very much for sharing your experience with us.
Actually, we invite you to see also the studio where actually Kim is working. Is going to be a speaker with us also on Sunday.
Oh, great.
Yes, Kim, maybe you can write down your website on the chat.
Lovely. Yeah.
And Erika is asking if you can actually, Jonas or Tony, you can write down the link of the shop of demonography.
Well, yeah, it isn't quite a shop yet, but yes.
Anyway, like the way they can.
Yeah, where you can see it.
Exactly.
That's common.
No, it's common. Is it dash or is it no? It isn't dash. It's. I think I'm just going to.
Wait, yeah. Let's double check before we. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay. Well, thank you so much. It was very interesting for us, like to see your maybe the more intimate projects you're working on. Like I'm pretty sure, like let's say the commercial one are amazing the same, but we really appreciate. Oh, Eric has another question. Sorry.
Please.
Eric, go. Like very quickly. Eric.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi guys. Thank you for the presentation. I just wanted to ask you how many time during the week or in your process are you allocating for those kind of projects which are not your client's project? So like how will it fit on your daily routine?
Well, we kind of try to split. I mean, it's not always possible, but where we can, we try and split our day up into two parts. So because and try to do different things in one half of the day to the other half of the day. So we look at what's urgent. We look at reasonably what time we need to spend on things, and then we get our weekly planner and we put in slots for time. I mean, it's been a bit more difficult recently because we've had to be in our own spaces because of COVID.
And of course, it's up and down. You know, it's like in 1 week it's a bit more, and then in another week when we're super busy, it's not that much. I mean, that's the reality of it, of course.
Yeah, but you can get quite. You can if you plug it in. If you have your weekly planner and you give yourself space to do things, you can become really protective of that time. Where so you can work faster on something that you want to get out of the way because you want to spend this time on this project.
But it's pretty organic, right? It's something that you're deciding democratically and trying to keep up as a team, right?
Yeah, but you've got to try to have a little bit of discipline about it if you can, because if you don't, then it can just always be put to the back and you never do it. So.
Yep. All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Perfect. Jonas, are you drinking a Moretti beer?
I am.
Thank you. Not really the best one, but
That's all right.
It's fine.
It's cold and wet.
Yeah.
Again, thank you very, very much, guys. It was like for us, it's an honor to have you here. We know you're one of the most appreciated graphic studios in the Europe, I would say. So thank you again. We hope to see you again soon. And thank you to all the participants, and thank you for being with us tonight. Tomorrow we're gonna be with the guys from the digital design studios. And okay, have a good night, all of you.
You too.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.